Morning, girls. In today's class, research methodology, review of literature, and other one called hypothesis. So the next topic is review of literature. So a review of literature, I have told already what is the meaning. Reviewing the things already available for our research problem. So we have to research the theory content of a research problem which is already provided in the society, so that our research problem, it will be clear what has been done, what need to be done, whether any solution already told in the market. If anything available, there is no need for research again. If any modification needed for the particular topic, we can able to do it. Otherwise we can view in different angle so that we can get a different answer. That is called that's for the purpose the review of literature will be helpful. So basically, what is the use of review of literature? First of all, it will brings clarity and focus to your research problem. So when you have a research problem, you are going to concentrate on a single topic. So in that topic, what has to be done, what are the cases handled by different person, that is called as analyzing the problem. So by review of with the help of literature already available, we can go through the cases, what is the solution as given by the concerned the particular researcher. So whether he has given the research problem, framed the research problem correctly, or the solution is correct. So you can able to analyze by reading more and more articles. So more literature, so you will get a broad knowledge about the particular problem, so it will helpful for your analysis purpose and improves your methodology. So by reading more articles, you know what are the circumstances they have faced, what are the analysis they have done, so that the methodology will be chosen by you as correct in a correct area, because you can analyze the things already available, what is the methodology done by them, whether it is correct or not, what is the answer came by using the methodology. So it will help to in your research area to choose your methodology. And third one is broaden your knowledge. The main focus of review of literature is broadening your knowledge. Why you are doing a research? To gain more and more knowledge. By reviewing more and more literature, books, journals, or these are different sources available in the society. By reading and more topics in the particular area, you can broaden your knowledge to gain more knowledge. Then last one is contextualize your findings. So in review of literature, by reading it, you have to frame the summary based what you have read from the particular article. So you have to write on your own what has been found out in the particular article, what the research has been done. When you are writing on your own only, you can able to predict what has been done in the particular article by the particular researcher. So this is the main aim for the review of literature to be done by the researcher. And the next one is procedure for reviewing the literature. This is the way you have to review the literature in your research. First one is search of existing literature in your area of study. So this you have fixed the topic. Now you have the second one is you have to collect more and more literature, review of literature for your topic. So for your topic, it can be collected from books or for example, if you are doing a marketing topic, there will be more marketing books available in the market where you can get the books or go for. So in what way you can collect the literature? With the help of books I have told already, that is marketing. If you are doing a project in a marketing title, there are more and books available. Various authors have analyzed the different themes they have formed as a book. So using the book, you can able to get a theoretical review for your particular topic. If my topic is a brand equity, I have to be clear with what do you mean by brand equity. So this can be done with the help of book review of literature only. So I have to refer more in books to get a broad view about what is brand equity, what are the items associated with it. And then the second main source is journals. A journal is nothing but the collection of research papers from various themes. If it is a marketing journal, they will collect the marketing research paper and they will form as a book and they will release monthly wise. That is called journal. So if I am doing whatever the area, according to that I have to choose a different journals which is available in the society from all over the world. I can able to access through my net. So with the help of net, I have to collect more and more journals, and I have to go through each and every journal. What is the procedure done by them? What is the research problem? What is their objectives? Whether they are choosing the correct methodology. By using the particular methodology, what is the answer got by them? So after reviewing the journals, I have to collect it and save it. but I have to, first one is I have to collect all the journals of the particular topic. I have to collect it. That is the first procedure. Whatever journals I getting in the particular topic, I have to collect it and save it. The next one is review of literature selected. So by reading the each and every journal I've collected, I have to choose which one is best one for my topic, whether they have done it correctly. So that the journal selection can be done by the particular researcher according to the needs, what they want. They, after reading that, they have a clear understand that what is the which paper will be a good paper, so that I can select from the select the best out of it. And third one is developing a theoretical framework. So after selecting, I have to read each and every journal, selected journal, clearly from top to bottom, so to know what is done, what is told by them. So that is the development of theoretic frame. By reading and reading, I can able to frame in mind what is the thing needed, what has to be done. Then based on the area collected, I have to frame a I have to frame a paragraph by collecting the information into my theme. So after analyzing, I can predict that what are the things that has not done in the project by them, so that my research problem can be framed according to the need of the research. So I can get a concept based on the review of literature for my research. So this can be done only when I collecting more and more of reviews of my topic. Without collecting the reviews, nothing can be done in the process. The research will not be a effective one. When the research has to be effective, you have to collect the journals, more and more journals. I have to study the journals. Then only plagiarism can be reduced, because you know that the thing has been already done. If you are doing the same topic, the research will not be accepted. So by reviewing the literature alone, you can predict what has to be done. The second main topic is hypothesis. What do you mean by hypothesis? After framing the research problem, based on the review of literature, I have framed the research problem. So, and the research problem has to be converted into hypothesis. So, for my analysis purpose, to find out what has happened, I have to frame the research problem into hypothesis. So, it is a statement. It's basically a statement, a single statement. It explains what you are going to do it in the project. It can be defined as a tentative statement. It will be mostly will be a single line. By analyzing the thing, what will be the possible outcome of the research, we can predict it. So it should be a clear statement what you are going to study in the particular research. So it is to be given openly to all the readers, so that they can able to predict it correctly. So the hypothesis should be clear. It should not be over collapsing more and more variables. So it should be specific what you are going to analysis. So you can have more and more hypothesis for different analysis part, but it should be clear. A single statement should be clear. A source of hypothesis, where you can get a source of hypothesis statement. By reviewing the literature, you can frame a hypothesis by comparing what has to be done. And if you're doing a PhD, you would have an external guide. So with the advice of the experts, you can frame the hypothesis. And for the researcher, by studying more and more reviews and by doing a research work, he may have some intuition that if we framing the hypothesis like this, surely our research will be a good one. So that intuition will also help to have a good research. And then last one is, already more research papers will be available in a particular topic. You can go through that, what is the hypothesis statement prepared by them. So it will help you to frame a hypothesis for the given area. So next one is types of hypothesis. Basically, before framing a hypothesis, there are two variables are needed. One is independent variable and another one is dependent variable. An independent variable is as a name specified, they will be independent. No factor will affect that particular variable. For example, if it is your age, the age won't change. The age, if your age is 20, it won't change till 1 year. So someone cannot change your age. That is the independent variable. The name is also an independent variable because you can't change your name. A dependent variable is where it, for example, the attitude of the consumer. So the attitude of the consumer won't be stagnant all the time. It will be depend upon the mood of the particular person, or some person may be irritating him. That's why his attitude may be changed to the particular person. The same person will be a good person for the other person. So that is a dependent variable where the person will change according to the situation. That will be a dependent variable. So next one is, these two variables are needed to frame a to frame a hypothesis. So comparing the two hypotheses will be the hypothesis statement. The first one is a research hypothesis. A research hypothesis is framed by comparing the dependent and independent variable, whether we can predict whether the age of the person is influencing the customer attitude. So we can frame the research hypothesis to know whether the age is influencing the attitude of the customer. So this is a statement based for the research purpose. Next one is directional hypothesis. A directional hypothesis is where already the problem would have been in the market. We know where the solution will be. It will lead to the particular answer. But we are going to analyze in what way it has led to the solution. For example, if I am going to mix the two chemicals, I know what is the solution it going to be. So but I have why it has be the particular solution. So I have to analyze what is the reason for changing the color. That is called as directional hypothesis, where I know the answer for the problem, but I have to predict what way it caused my answer. That is called directional hypothesis. A non-directional hypothesis is where I know the answer, but I don't know the way in which it has led to the answer. So non-directional is where I know it has a relationship. A particular variable has caused the change in the dependent variable, but I don't know how it has led the change. That is called as a non-directional hypothesis. The next one is associate and causal hypothesis. A associate hypothesis is to study the relationship between the two variables. For example, correlation, whether sales and profit are correlated, because this will predict that for increase in sales automatically predict the increase in profit. So there's a perfect relationship between sales and profit. And the next one is causal hypothesis. A causal hypothesis is about the cause and effect relationship between the variables. If this happens, that will make a changeover. If we prevent of happening such event, in future this problem won't occur. So that is called as causal and effect relationship, where one person has caused a problem for one situation. By avoiding the particular person, the problem would have been demolished. That is called causal hypothesis. A statistical hypothesis is where the parameter analysis, that is not a real solution. We itself assume certain situation formulas. We will predict by comparing these two variables. We are going to this answer, the level of degree, the analysis part. Everything is we may predicting that this analysis, our answer will be correct. For example, statistical hypothesis will be used only for the analysis purpose, but it is not 100% true. It is an assumption that is made for the analysis purpose. So these are the different types of hypothesis you can set for your research purpose. But if it is a hypothesis only, there is a two statement. One is null hypothesis and this other one is alternative hypothesis. A null hypothesis is denoted by H0. Alternative hypothesis is denoted by H1. A null hypothesis is the two statement just to be fixed for data analysis, so that by applying the various tools, statistical tools, we'll get an answer. So if I'm getting a specific answer, null hypothesis has to be accepted. If my answer exceeds the particular level, alternative hypothesis has to be accepted. So a null hypothesis is a statement where there is no difference. This situation has not caused the, for example, there is no difference between the age and the customer attitude. The age factor does not influence the customer attitude. That is my null hypothesis. A alternative hypothesis is where I have the same statement, I have to fix it that the age factor has influenced the customer attitude. That is called as alternative hypothesis. So you should have a bold statement for your study. So for example, if your answer is null hypothesis, if it should be accepted, then in research you can find out that the age factor has not made an influence in the customer attitude. But in alternative hypothesis has to be accepted in a situation, that means you can find out that age is playing a major role in accepting the fixing the customer attitude. So that is called alternative hypothesis. So when you are accepting more and more alternative hypothesis, if you are collecting the, after collecting the questionnaire, after putting it into analysis, if you are able to gain more and more alternative hypothesis, surely you can able to find out more and more information by your research, because by alternative hypothesis only we can able to predict why the age factor has been influenced the customer attitude. But in null hypothesis that is not possible, because there is no difference. The age factor is not making any difference in the attitude of the customer. So there is no need for further study because it is not causing any effects. So that's why there is a study. If age factor is influencing the customer attitude, surely we can find out what is the reason for the change in the customer attitude. So this is a type of attitude. So my dear students, kindly go through the video which I have uploaded. If you have any doubt, please contact me, because this is a very important topic for your research area in PG, also for your MPhil or PhD. So concentrate on this topic and be clear with what I have told. Thank you, girls.